Hello, everyone. My name is Evie Lupine, and welcome back to my channel for a very special Halloween episode of an interview with the wonderful Pup Amp of What's a Safe Word. Been here many times. We love him, love having him on. And today we are reading your spooky stories, scary stories, and we've already gone through a couple and they're really fun and I'm excited to get into it. So the idea that we had is we're going to go through and do like a try and match and find certain stuff. So I'm going to give him random words to try and find stories that match to them. I don't know what that's going to do. If that's even going to be like a good idea ultimately. But we're gonna find out. But before we get into that, for people who don't know who you are, don't know what What's a Safe Word is, would you like to introduce yourself? Still gets me. Still gets me.
Hi everyone, Amp here. I'm from What's the Safe Word or Pup Amp, wherever you look online. Sex educator, Twitch streamer, podcast in person, and happy to be here with Evie today talking about sex horror stories. Like years ago, I want to say it's at least two now. We put out this episode where we're like, give us your scary stories. People retweeted it, everyone submitted. So there's over like we still share it to this day, and we keep getting things. Wait, I can see in this form. So we don't collect anyone's username or anyone's email, but the very first story was on 10/2/2020. So yeah, this is 2 years old.
Hmm.
Wow, almost to the day. And so I've got a whole spreadsheet here. Evie's gonna give me some words, and we're gonna go through and find scary stories based on keywords, which I think will be
Hmm.
kind of interesting, and we might even get some more surprising stories that way.
Yeah. Trying to think
Because
where to start. I feel
yeah.
like let's do something easy that I think will be in there. Let's just start with bondage.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
I just want to test to see if this works.
Okay. Um the first one that pops up. I was dating a guy shortly after high school, and we were hanging out at his family's house, as many horror stories
Oh.
start, unfortunately. His youngest brother kept knocking on the bedroom door. So I hid in the closet, and he explained busy that he was busy and asked his brother to not come in, locking the door behind him. We got back to it, and what was 5 minutes later, the youngest brother, who picked the lock, ends up seeing us involved in some light bondage play, shrieking bloody murder and running off. I was mortified and later found out that the middle brother of the family had put him up to it. Evil!
Whoa.
Mean! I
Whoa. Okay, he picked the lock?
mean, surprising, but mean!
I like wow, there's like the middle brother at like the little brother, like I don't know how much he would have known about sex. He can't have known necessarily what was going on, but like the middle brother, he knew. He wanted to like
Oh,
embarrass his other brother. I listen, I don't have brothers, so I don't
you're
really
lucky.
know how these sorts of dynamics work, but like
You're
that's
lucky.
not don't do that. I mean, maybe it was one of those like some houses in like suburbia will have locks where like even from the outside, like if you have like a bent paper clip or something, if you poke it in there, it'll just unlock the door. It's like really easy to unlock, but like come on now, don't do that to your family. Like you have to know you're gonna see something you don't want to see, right?
Locks exist for a reason.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
if you have your own little, like, the room or the part of the garage or whatever dungeony area you have,
Mhm.
put a lock on the door. Make it a
Mhm.
lock that you can lock from both ends, and
Yep.
make sure that it's I mean, nothing is fully lock proof if you have a Weasley little brother, but
Mhm.
mean and
Very
topical.
mean.
Not
Very
not too bad.
topical.
Not too bad. Okay. Give me another keyword,
Mm.
Evie.
Let's do vampire because we got a ghost story last time, and I'm like, have I
Ooh.
had any vampire ones yet?
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Why vampire? Do you like a little vampire play?
Well, yeah, we kind of talked about how last time I was in high school and one freshman year, a couple people believed I might have been a vampire. This is also like
Hmm.
Twilight the movie had just come out, so I think it was kind of that era of being a teenager. But I was like, well, we got a ghost story. Are there any vampire stories?
Oh, I got one for you.
Okay,
Kind of.
excellent. Which is weird because I'm actually more of a werewolf person. Obviously, puppy player, like it goes with that, but.
Oh, I bet you there's some of those as well. Okay, but this
Mhm.
one, um, there's blood. I once hooked up with a guy who I let draw some blood into a vial. He
Oh,
was, yeah, he was showering, and I looked into the mini fridge in his bedroom and found a bunch of other vials with blood names on them. Had to have been at least 20 names in different vials. I grabbed my clothes and left. Later, I was telling my friend that I found a guy through, a guy thought himself a vampire who kept blood as a souvenir, and he wanted to suck my blood.
that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I have I'm trying
Questions?
to think of how you would do that because, like, okay, was it like I'm cutting you and then it's like it dripping the blood into a because I can see like there's have you seen those videos? I don't know if it's truly or like there's somewhere on YouTube where they do documentaries and there's definitely one that's on like a polyamorous vampire family. Have you seen
Mm,
that?
no. Wait,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
But
you need to.
okay, it was a okay. I'll put this in my Google search for later.
Yeah.
Google
Just
person, if you're watching,
polyamorous
please.
vampire family.
Oh, that's easy enough. I mean, it does say that he drew the blood, so
Mhm.
he didn't suck it out. He didn't like cut. It sounded like he literally needled it out. And I mean, yeah. First
Skilled.
of all, no, thank you personally.
Mhm.
But like, I wonder if they were like a doctor or if they're just a medical fetishist. Like, but that sounds ooh like
I
makes
don't
me cringe.
I I know there are definitely people who are like, "Oh, I'm a vampire and I have to drink human blood sometimes." I was like, maybe he's doing it for like a magic thing. Like maybe it's like a I'm gonna take your blood and like if you believe in magic, like blood's typically a really powerful component to that sort of thing. So is it like is he doing magic on like the women he's because I don't like did they have sex? I don't know. Like I
I don't
don't
know.
let strangers draw your blood if you don't know what they're gonna use it for. Talk about the motivations behind your kink. That's always
Right.
my advice is like, if you're into bondage, blood play, be like, hey, is this sexual for you? Why are you into this? And then sometimes you find out, oh yeah, it's a sex thing. I'm really into it. Sometimes it's like, I am a vampire who's collecting blood so that way I can reawaken my eternal soul and blacken out the sun. Or like, I don't even know. Like, you want to know what people are into and why. It's a good conversation to have.
I mean, that's why I enjoy and appreciate the work that we both do is like I just think people are fascinating and I want to learn
Mhm.
why you're into a thing as much as I hate blood and like medical play personally. No kink shame, but just
Yeah.
personally, um I am still fascinated why that person had blood vials with names on it and are they a serial killer because I've seen and Dexter. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
That's all
Yep.
I'm
No,
saying.
that's fair. And this is one of the hard parts for me. This is why I both love and hate doing like Q&As is because I want to have a back and forth with the person who said this like wait, I have follow-up questions. But I
Mhm.
can't do it because it's anonymous, it's one-sided. That's also part of the mystique of it. So, thinking of that, maybe the next word will be mystery. Not
Ooh,
like the pickup artist, but like
mystery. There's nothing in wow, in all the stories,
there's a
there's no
mystery where there's
mystery.
nothing.
How about
I thought for
miss
sure there would
no?
be somebody that was like or maybe mysterious.
No. Not even I start typing MYST and nothing pops up. Fascinating.
The
Really?
Bermuda Triangle of words. Like nothing, everything that goes into it disappears. There's nothing there.
Yeah, nothing. Okay.
Fascinating. All right. The mystery behind why there's no stories with the word mysterious in it. Yeah, for like something that's like thematic, like sort of along the same lines of like we didn't know what happened and like it was, we never found out exactly what was going on. Um
Like ghost?
oh yeah, maybe ghost.
Okay. Well, there is the possessed vibrator that we talked about previously
Yeah.
in our episode, but there's another one that says I was in the middle of a hookup with a guy who I didn't really know, but I did fancy, and he was kissing my tits, and I realized as he was kissing my tits, I realized I was a lesbian. Told him that I got my period, ran out of his place, and blocked him on everything. Months later, he sees me in the streets and starts yelling at me because I ghosted him, understandably. So I started to
Oh.
cry and saying he made me realize I didn't like men, and it just got so awkward from there.
Oh god. Wow.
There was a
Wow,
ghost
that's
involved.
intense.
Oh,
Like, "What? I
no.
ghosted you because I realized I was a lesbian, sorry."
That's so sad. But
Different kind of
also
ghost from what I thought we were gonna get, but
yeah. Oh, I mean,
mhm.
I've never done that, but I can understand the awkwardness of, like, realizing what you like and your identity and not really knowing how to tell someone, especially if you are on a younger, like, first time sort of basis, you
Yeah.
know?
Like,
Oh.
yeah, exactly. You wanna tell like, I can get why you wouldn't wanna tell someone to their face, like, "Hey, I don't like you, but also it's because you made me realize I don't like men at all. And so, sorry, bye." Like, that's a hard conversation to have. Like, that would be scary to bring up with somebody, especially if you're like, like you said, you're younger, you don't really have that experience in navigating stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Surprise. How about surprise? Because
Mm.
surprising things are sometimes horrible, but also funny.
Yeah.
Oh, there's tons of surprises here. Okay. The
Okay.
most recent one that was literally just submitted today. Oh, wow, that's
Mm.
funny. It's one of the most recent ones. Starts with, "This is more surprising than a horror story." Okay, we got
Mhm.
what we asked for.
Fair enough.
But it always gets a laugh out of me when I tell it. "One time, my then boyfriend and I were having sex missionary style."
Mhm.
Eh. And he kind of pulled back a bit. Then, out of nowhere, took my foot in his hand and started sucking my toes. I was
Okay.
completely taken by surprise. I remember the first thing that went through my head outside of question mark, question mark, question mark was, "Oh my God, my friends and I joke all the time about someone randomly sucking toes as a meme. I'm never going to be able to tell this or my boyfriend and live it down." The best or worst part was that that's how I discovered I have a foot fetish.
Oh, so
Aww.
everyone in there was, like, into it. You know
Yay.
what? Shrimping and, like, foot fetishes, because shrimping, for people who don't know, is, like, specifically when you're, like, sucking people's toes. Like, get very maligned. Like, a lot of people have a lot of and for some reason, it's always the butt of the joke whenever somebody talks about fetishes, like, "Oh, weird foot fetish guy." It's like, it's very common. It's, like, the most common fetish. A lot of people are into it. And
Mhm.
sometimes, like, though I would prefer people talk about it first, sometimes just you're doing something sexy, your missionary foot pops up, the opportunity's there, and then you find out, hey, we both have this thing we both enjoy, but we also can never tell our friends because we joke about this exact thing all of the time.
Actually, while not a horror story, a fun story that might have been horrifying for someone else. I have a friend that streams, and
Mm.
for streaming, like you make fun little alerts and sound effects for like
Mhm.
your stream and that apply to you. And you remember the word simp?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So a while back, Twitch started, or I think other platforms too, just started finding the word simp as derogatory and negative. And so
Okay.
yeah, so like literally simp, you can't type in a chat without auto mod happening, which is just a moderated tool on Twitch. And so what they did was they changed the term to shrimp. And they had this like sound command that was like shrimping for the longest time. Like it was a sound command that was like talking about shrimping. And I popped in one
Okay.
day and I was like, "I don't know that this is the word that you mean to use." And I was like, "I didn't know you were into feet." And that person was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, don't Google this now, but just look up shrimping." And of course they Googled it then and there
Yeah, of
and
course,
was
of
just
course.
fucking hilarious watching a person that, is sex positive, but it's just like they were trying to talk about simping, which is when you're hardcore like into someone or like standing someone. Um, and it was just funny because realizing that they were inadvertently being kinky on their stream.
Yep. Yep, but not in a way that Twitch noticed, thankfully, because I feel like if you get too overt, they'd be like, "Oh, no, we gotta ban the word shrimp." And you
Yeah.
just end up with, like, no language being allowed whatsoever.
I mean, this person also, I adore them, like no shade. They
Mhm.
also wear like a chain collar, but they're not kinky. It's just very much like
It was a fashion thing.
yeah, a fashion
Mhm.
comfort. They like how it looks like, which is totally valid. We're not coming for the
Mhm.
collar people, so long as you know what it is. If someone were
Mhm.
to ask, and they're very aware of it.
Mhm.
We love
That's
our
good.
puppy
I mean,
play.
as long as people are respectful, like, I know some people get, especially I feel like either people that, like, have been in here for, like, a really long time, or they joined kink 2 seconds ago, they're like, actually, you can't wear a collar unless you're a known submissive, and if you do it at any other time, you're lying and you're denigrating what it means to wear a collar and just and it's like, 1, you're not gonna stop everyone. 2, it's a practical bondage item. And 3, as long as you know what it means in your relationship, that's the important part.
Yeah, it's about respect. And 4, if you ever start something actually, you know that whatever's following it's going to be very opinionated and you probably won't agree
Yeah, exactly. Just save yourself the distress. Well, actually, now I wanna know if there's anything with collars in it or just collar.
Ooh, okay. Let me double check on that. There is.
Ooh.
Oh, this one's a little long,
Okay.
but
I'm
I
ready.
do see the word collar in it. Okay. No sex because I'm an asexual. Okay. Hi. Hello. You come to the
Alright,
right
hi.
place.
Welcome, welcome, join the party.
I had this friend who is interested in pet play, much like I am, and prefers to dom while I prefer to sub. Okay. I'm on the same page. I had expressed interest in trying rope and he had some. So I came over to his parents. Oh no. Oh, I came over while his parents were away and we did some cute little cuddly pet play stuff. I brought my collar, we cuddled a lot. Then we decided to try the rope and I got some simple tutorials on YouTube while we went to get it from his closet.
Mm,
Didn't say where he got the tutorials, but hopefully it was from a trusted source.
mhm.
He started unraveling the rope to get the bite of it, and we both heard a noise. We sat in silence for a couple seconds before he got up and looked out the window. He didn't say anything, but we both had a bad feeling and scrambled to put everything away. I even took off my collar and put it in my bag.
Mm.
We decided to play some Smash Brothers, and just as we started playing a match, his father comes into the room and explains how he hasn't seen me in a while and asked what we were doing. To which
Okay.
we innocently replied, just playing some video games. While in hindsight, it's funny, it was pretty scary at the time. To this
Mm.
day, we still turned out to be the best time we've had. We still have lots of fun, and we don't know if that was his dad in the window. Oh, well, first of all, who was it in the window?
Wait, yeah, if you're not sure that's who it was, then, like,
I mean, maybe the
oh
dad was
god.
just being coy,
Yeah, maybe.
but cute. I'm glad I live on a third story. I'll say that much.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's a collar in that, but it wasn't around the collar. I was expecting like maybe some sort of horror story around like a collar getting stuck, or
Yeah, that's what I was expecting is, like, yeah, we tried a lock and collar and then we couldn't get it off, or, like, I was at the dentist and I have one of those, like, locking collars, you know, the metal ones, and then I had to get it taken off to get X-rays or something, you know?
oh, yeah. No, I've had plenty of instances with like TSA wanting to take
Yep.
it off, or like, and luckily I can do that because there's a little chain in it that I can bend open if I really need. Like my collar is
Oh, mm.
hefty, but like the lock doesn't unlock anymore. I've soaked it in rusties. I've soaked it in like all of the stuff that's supposed to get, gunk out of a lock, and it's dead. So,
Oh.
which is fine. I
Mm.
don't need to take it off. Mm. Okay. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
There's another collar one, but not in the way you think. If you're
Okay,
still down. If you're
alright.
still down.
I'm still down. Now I'm curious. I'm like, what could be different about this? I wanna know.
Okay. And it goes on. I'm not sure if it's quite a horror story, but one time me and my fiance were having some sex. Obviously, lol. I tend to get a little loud at times, and we live with his parents. Guys, stop. Just make sure your
Why do all
parents.
of these involve parents? Parents are, like, in all parents are the common denominator in this.
or siblings.
Yup.
It goes on. I was trying not to scream, so I attempted to bite down on his shoulder, but I missed it and slammed against his collarbone instead and cracked my
Oh.
tooth.
Oh, no.
It
Oh, no, I'm
was
sorry about all the medical
oof,
stuff.
oof,
Like,
oof. There's a little bit more. It says
okay.
it was so loud that we both heard it and checked it. Said it was fine, so we kept going on until after we finished, and it hurt so bad we checked it again, and I did in fact crack. Oh, though it was barely hanging on by the nerve, so I had to have him
Ah,
break it
what?
off. Uh, uh.
Please tell me they went to the ER. Please, what happens?
Well, the next day, there's a PS. The next day,
Okay.
His mom asked what happened, so I told her I tripped into the door trying not to step on the cat because I was embarrassed, and we went and got it fixed.
Okay. Okay, good. They got it
But they
fixed.
waited until
That's
the
what
next
matters.
day? Uh, uh, uh,
Listen,
collar.
that
That's funny how it wasn't a collar, but
mhm.
collarbone.
Yeah.
Hmm. Actually, you said ER, and now I'm
Yeah.
curious. I'm curious if
For
there's any
ER
stories with
stories.
ER. Mm-hmm. Wait, let me see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there is.
What percentage of stories involve the ER?
Oh sure.
Like 10%?
Let's see. Oh, so when you search for something, fun, just notes sort of thing. If I type
Mhm.
ER, 194 things come up because ER as a just ER within
Oh, like
words
an
pops
ending of
up.
a word.
So you
Mm.
have to put a little space after it, and then you find some good ones. Okay.
Oh.
This one is about Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
So on Valentine's Day, I was sent to the ER. That's how it opens. I
Mhm.
drove to my Dom's house on Valentine's Day and I had a butt plug in, and everything was going great. But it goes on. We started kissing and feeling each other, and he started to play with the plug that was inside of me. Then I felt it slide all the way in. I start,
Oh.
uh huh. I think we know where this is going. I started freaking out, and luckily he was super calm about it. I turned over to my side and he started to fish it out. Without much luck, though, and lots of pain, I started crying because I thought we would have to go to the ER.
Mm.
He had an idea and got some floss and somehow wrapped it around the base and started to pull it out. The rest of the day went smoothly, but we did not end up having sex that night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they almost went to the ER.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean,
Ooh,
this is I see people that they sell butt plugs and they say they have a flared base and the base is like
tiny.
itty teeny, and if you're playing with it a lot, like, sometimes your sphincters are just really relaxed. You got to be careful. Like, but I think that's one
Ugh.
of the most common things that people in the ER have to deal with as far as like sex injuries go is like people getting stuff up their butt. Like especially Valentine's Day, I imagine.
Mhm.
You got people get their little bondage sets. You got people, oh, we're gonna spice something up in the bedroom. That has to be the number one day of the year for like people accidentally putting things they shouldn't up their butt. Maybe that and like Christmas. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about holidays that make people a bit more adventurous, but I've heard many a story. If you look through it, there's a few other ER stories, and a lot of them, as I'm looking at it, is butt plug related. It's all butt plug related. It's when you
Mhm.
don't get a toy that has a wide enough base, and like we say, if it don't have a flare, don't stick it up there, like for a
Oh.
reason, because
Mhm.
your cavity, the anal cavity, will suck things into it. It is like a vacuum. Your body's always
Yep.
moving and doing stuff. Um, I mean, if anything gets caught, calm, relaxed, try to push it out if you're not having that. I know people I'm trying to think of like better ways to do it. I love that these people found floss and like somehow got it around the base and like pulled
Mhm.
it out. That is literally fishing.
Yep. I know people that have done that for, like, anal figging with, like, ginger, where before they stick
Oh.
it in to kind of have, like a fail safe, because if you're carving a piece of ginger, sometimes whatever, flared base you can get out of it, it's not gonna be the same thing as, like, a manufactured plug. They'll put floss or, like, some kind of string around it as sort of a just in case, something ends up happening, we can pull it out right away. Also, because a lot of people have a very strong reaction to putting raw ginger up the butthole. Unexpectedly strong reactions can happen to that in any number of which ways.
Mhm.
But yeah, got to be careful with the butt stuff. It's a very fun intro thing if you like more sexual BDSM or pet play or anything like that. Don't just be putting anything up there. Have you ever read the Sleeping Beauty trilogy before?
No.
Okay, so Anne Rice, bless her soul, one of the like premier erotica, like pre 50 Shades of Grey, was the Sleeping Beauty trilogy, and a lot of people got into BDSM because of this. And there's a lot of like power exchange and bondage and pony play. There's there's everything in there.
Mhm.
And I have this distinct memory of a scene that I think is in the first book, whereas as a punishment, they put vegetables up a guy's butt. And they're like fucking him with like an onion or something. And I just the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, don't put things up people's butts that don't have a flirt base. And nothing ever ends up going wrong, right? Because it's an erotica, and so it just ends up being fine, and they end up being fine with a carrot up their butt. But like, not everything's like an Anne Rice erotica novel. You can't just be putting kitchen vegetables up your booty and be like, this works out. I read about it in a book once. It'll be fine.
Actually, so Christopher, my partner, will account pony play for those books specifically. So I have not read them, but my partner is very much into pony play and will account that as one of the
Mm.
very first instances that they were into it.
Yeah, it's very popular. That story of pony play got a lot of good press in the like 80s and 90s. Like people were really into it, and earlier than that as well, especially with Story of O. Yeah, maybe one day we'll get that for puppy play. That's what I hope for. Is like we're gonna get an erotica that just has puppy play in it, and then it'll get like its moment, amongst the more mainstream BDSM community, as being like, oh yeah, when I was reading this book and I kind of discovered my interest in kink, like there was this really hot scene with puppy play in it, and I just feel like pony play gets all the attention. No hate to ponies. I love ponies. Love hanging out with them, but like I feel like as far as erotica goes, there's been a lot of really good pony play stories and not a whole lot of the other pets out there.
Yeah, I've seen plenty an old Tumblr post or like mini
Mm,
erotica on the Amazons, but a lot of it is misunderstood, written by someone who's not a pup, or just
yeah.
it's not well written. Again, no shade to
Mhm.
anyone who does it. Like I appreciate the erotica, but sometimes it's nice to have like well written stuff that is like fully formed. It's not just a little taste. It's like a fully formed bottle of wine that you pop open, you drink, and you really
Mhm.
enjoy. You let breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, Anne Rice, like, everything that she wrote was, like, I'm like, "Oh, this is her kink." She's into all of this, like, Anne Rice
Mm-hmm.
was very into, and especially the pony play stuff. I think it's the last book. There's a guy who ends up, like, basically being a 24/7 human pony in it, and, like, all these ponies share a pasture together, and they're in, like, the same it's like 24/7 MS, like, meets pony play. So, maybe not the way I would introduce anyone to pony play if they don't know anything about BDSM, but if that's, like, your kink, it can be a really hot thing for sure.
I That actually does remind me of. I wouldn't say that it's a novel, but it's a firsthand account, a fiction written. I'm happy to send it to you later, but it's about
Yeah.
a guy who wants to pretty much that a pasture of ponies,
Mm.
but it's a farm of dogs, and not puppies, but like
Oh.
dogs, like guys that want to
Yeah.
just be in that headspace. And it was a fascinating read, and then had a follow up from the author being like, "Oh no, this is like a firsthand account. I've just changed the names," and I was like,
Oh,
interesting, because I know that
wow.
in the story specifically, and this is where it gets kind of odd, but like again, not kink shaming. On the farm is an actual dad and his son who are both on the like farm as dogs for the same master. The dad and son don't do things together, but like it's just
Okay.
very sensual in such a way that they both are like big into like puppy play, dog play, and they were both like found the guys somehow,
Mhm.
which is just talk about a family tree. That they
Yeah.
probably all peed on together. No.
Yeah. All scent marking it, my god. I feel like both in the horror stories we were reading earlier, and then also in what I've heard in from life, is there's a lot of overlap with like family and like kink dynamics being weird. Like, oh,
Hmm.
my mom discovered that she was into BDSM in her 50s after a divorce, and now she wants to go to the same dungeon as me. Help, what do I do? And it's like,
Yep.
well, you're gonna have to coordinate schedules, probably. That's really the answer.
Yeah, no, like my partner Chris, his parents are, in their they were in their older years when he was still a teen, and they literally like would have a reverse curfew. So they would say like if you're going to go out, you have to stay out past midnight or else kind of thing, cuz we're going to have
Oh,
sex. We're going to be humans and adults. We respect you, but also don't come home before midnight, sort of thing, which I think is a really healthy way to do like y-
yeah, okay.
sex as adults.
Mhm. Level of trust in your kids. You get to do what you want to do in the privacy of your own home. And,
Mhm.
he gets to go out and do what he wants as a teenager and not have to worry about, well, my parents say I have to be back at 10:30. And if I show up at 10:31, like, I get grounded.
Oh.
Hmm. I never had a curfew because I never went anywhere.
I didn't have a curfew, but if I got home too late, my mom would sometimes be but I also was
Mhm.
not super sexual until like getting out of the house personally
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, same.
So I'm lucky for that.
Mhm.
Um, does that bring any keywords to mind that you want to
Oh,
search through?
there's so many, but I'm like, I don't think this is gonna like bring up any search results. I want to see if we can find something that won't end up being medical related. So I'm
Oh,
trying to
right.
stay away from like those keywords. And I'm like, okay, is there anything related to like something really Halloween, right? Like either just Halloween
Mm,
itself or like candy or
I
something. Like,
literally just thought of candy.
yeah.
There's no candy. How about costume? How is there no costume? Wait a sec. Costume? Really? There's no
No
costume.
costumes. No like
No.
costume party, no like Halloween party.
We had a Halloween party, that's for sure. Wait, let me see.
Yeah, which
Party.
one?
Okay, I do have party.
Okay, let's
Um,
do a party one.
oh, we did so there was a story about a pumpkin carver from the last one. That one's there.
Mhm.
Um, okay, story. I was much younger and didn't know about the name of this condition. I
Mm.
didn't consider it much of a problem, and neither did my partners. I was at a kinky pool party. Oh, it's not Halloween party, but a
Okay,
pool
fair
party.
enough.
And a guy was going down on me in the pool. Let's go. While we were going down, he took a moment to look at my dick and he immediately and loudly stated about me having an STD. I think he was claiming herpes and was shaming me for it. The main thrust of
Oh.
his argument was if you have herpes, tell people before they go down, which if I had had an STD, fair, but I didn't. Preface: as a result of my circumcision, I have a condition known as pearly penile papules, where the scar ended up healing into little white bumps around the base and ridge of my glands.
Oh.
Ooh, it's
Yeah, I've
purely
heard of that. I've heard of
cosmetic.
that before.
Ugh, and only
That's
can be
so
remedied by laser. That's so sad, though.
ah. Like, you can't listen, you're never gonna make progress with people just, like, publicly shaming them. Like, even if it was an STD, like, it's not any of your business
Mhm.
about if he's like, if you're concerned, if you're like instead of performatively being like, "Oh my god, look at this guy over here." Like, you gotta, like, be like, "Hey, I noticed during the pool party, like, are you okay?"
Yeah,
Like, there's a way to do that sensitively, and it was not that.
yeah. I mean, like I've had partners that did have herpes, and like that's fine. When you have
Mhm,
outbreaks, you are conscious of them. There are little tells that your body is going to have an outbreak. But
mhm,
also there's ways in which you can generally, if you have a mild form, which most people do,
mhm,
avoid it, which is sleeping, drinking water, getting rest, don't stress. Like there's so many
mhm.
things that can constitute a breakout. But also like just talk to your doctor, and I'm sure they can help you as well. You know,
Yeah.
I had, and most people do have herpes in some way, whether it's genital or like a cold
Yeah, cold
sore.
sores.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just make sure you're conscious and like get to know your body. And like this person
Yeah.
clearly knew their body really well.
And it's not your business as a stranger to like yell at people in public about what you think is a problem that may or may not actually be a problem.
Yeah, especially at a party.
Yeah, kill the vibe, dude. Come on. Like what?
Okay.
Uh
Any other keywords come to mind?
maybe we should just look for Halloween to see like all
Oh,
the
okay.
Halloween stories.
There are definitely Halloween. Okay. Let me
Excellent.
look through here. So this one's a little bit, but it looks like, oh God, there's injuries involved. Here we go.
Okay. All
So
right.
back when I was in denial and still desperately trying to convince myself I was cis het, okay, I was with a lot of this is coming out stories too.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how horror just makes it so we realize who we are, unfortunately?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they were trying to convince themselves they were cis het. Apparently they're not. I was with this guy for the first time. Started feeling a sharp pain inside and had to stop. I stood up and sprained my ankle, injury one, while walking to the bathroom. Oh no.
Injury 1?
Yeah, it literally has in parentheses injury one.
Oh god.
As I was leaving the opened door to the bathroom to check to see if I was okay, which is when the door hit me in the face, injury two, and my nose starts bleeding and cuts my lip open.
Oh
What?
no.
As I was leaving, he opened the door to the bathroom. Oh, and it hit me. Okay, sorry.
Mm.
I decided I needed to just go to sleep. So I go to sleep, wake up, and I'm super bloated, ankle hurting, nose a little stuffy, puffy lip, and a nice red line down my face. The next
Oh.
day, I went to see a doctor.
Mhm.
They sent me immediately to the emergency room. Turns out I had a rare connective tissue disorder and had ripped open my vaginal cuff from my hysterectomy 18 months before, injury 3. My very
Ah,
supportive
no.
parents came to be there for me and get me to meet the guy in my hospital room, standing around me, my ankle, and my broken vagina. Wow. Then
Oh.
the doctor asked everyone to leave the room and asked me if I was safe after reading what the injury was and seeing my busted face. I was admitted to the hospital 5 days of antibiotics and peritonitis, an abdominal infection, all right before the day of Halloween.
Oh.
Trick or treat. They got the trick apparently. That's so wow.
That's a lot.
That is a yeah, and all at once? I feel so
Mhm.
bad. Oh, I've not had any of those things happen. Like I've definitely
I've
hurt
never gone
myself
to
during
ER
sex.
before, like, for myself personally. Like, I've
Mhm.
taken people to the ER that need to go, but I thankfully have never had that experience myself. But it does not sound pleasant. 5 days of antibiotics? No, thank you.
No. And right on Halloween.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like other keywords. So Candy didn't pop anything up. Apparently none of y'all. Let's see. Trying to think of like dating stories. Maybe an let's look for app. Like
Mm.
an app.
Oh, like a dating app?
Mm-hmm. Okay. This one. Oh, this one's a bit lengthy.
No
I
injuries in this one?
don't know yet. There's no injuries
Okay,
in it.
let's strap in.
I downloaded Grinder. There's the horror story. And just a note.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, that's it. And there.
I started to message a guy near my age. We will call him Eminem. And he was the best I could find on the app. Everyone just wanted to hook up and always ask for nudes, so I uninstalled the app, but I started to talk to Eminem offline, and he asked stuff about me, what I usually do, dreams, expectations.
Mm.
uh, Pretty general back and forth. At
Mhm.
first, I thought he just wanted to know me and become friends, but he started asking about my job and how I was earning all of the stuff that I owned.
Mm.
He
We're
was
getting suspicious?
Yeah, kind of weird. He was only my friend outside of work and college once we started getting to talk, so I thought maybe he just wanted to ask more personal questions. We had been talking for about 5 months, and he told me he wanted to, hook up with me, and so we finally agreed to meet on a place. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, here we go.
That's so in my mind, whenever I hear a long courting in that regard via like social media or texting or a message, I'm like, uh-oh, catfish alert. That's where my mind goes.
Oh, yeah, of
I don't
course, yeah.
I don't know if that's where we're going
Mhm.
here. Um when I got to his neighborhood, I noticed it was a little dangerous and I got a bit scared. We were gonna meet at a coffee shop, but he was talking for so long and we had agreed to meet at 3 p.m. It was now 3:30 as I sat in the coffee shop, and he did say he lived around the block. So I didn't leave because I really liked him. He seemed really nice. He seemed like a good friend. And so I waited. I would have left. I would have left.
Yeah, mhm.
Then he texted me if we could meet at his apartment instead at 8 or 9 p.m. because there was an emergency.
I'm sure.
I was nervous and leave ASAP because I really didn't like the neighborhood. When he arrived at my apartment, he had texted if we could meet at my apartment later on. Apologies.
Oh, okay. No.
When he arrived at my apartment later on, he didn't look like his pictures he'd sent me. Not a catfish, but it was him in the pictures and just with really flattering angles and filters that changed his appearance a lot. Mm.
Oh.
We started kissing, and he said he wanted to tie me up. No. Get out.
Not
No,
on the
get
first
out.
date. Sorry.
Get out. I agreed. After I was naked and tied to my bed, he said he had a surprise for me and looked at me with an evilness.
With an evilness. Oh no.
He left the room and locked it up, and he opened my front door, and three guys entered my apartment one at a time. One of the guys said, "This guy has money," and they all talked about my apartment. I really thought they were going to rob me, and they were going to
Yeah.
take everything from my apartment. And these thoughts crossed my mind in 1 second. I started thinking a friend told me not to trust guys on Grinder, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Eminem had asked about my financials, my living in a he had lived in a bad neighborhood, and his pictures were very different. I thought that was it. They were going to rob me and walk away and leave me tied up. I started screaming, and they all entered the room. Eminem said to me he had always wanted to have group sex, but they were all bottoms, and I calmed down, still nervous, but then we actually had a great time. And the
What?
moment taught me I don't have to judge people about how they look or where they live, but also taught me not to meet people in public and safe places before I invite them to mine. What a fucking roller coaster!
This one like this. Like what the like
I thought they were gonna die.
I thought they were gonna get robbed, and then they were just gonna get left there and be oh my god.
Surprise, group
So many
sex.
red flags.
Surprise, group sex.
Yeah, don't do surprise group sex. Like, I love how the story is just like, listen, I found a lot of bottoms, but like we needed a top. And we've elected you our leader, which is why we tied you up in your house to make you top us. Like
So
w-
many red flags. So
so
much
many.
bad
Yeah.
consent. So much twists and turns, but at the end of the day, apparently it all worked out. Maybe?
Sort of? Yeah, it
Hooray?
kind of worked out.
Wow.
Wow. I just like
Moral of the story,
how
don't
like
download
just
Grinder.
don't get tied up by somebody on the first date. Don't have them come to your house on the first date. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's like not generally great advice that was done as part of this that I don't recommend people do. But I'm curious because you mentioned it. Like, what's the deal with Grinder? Why is Grinder bad?
I mean, Grinder is just well, first of all, it's owned by a Republican now.
Oh, great.
Previously it was owned by China people, and then it was bought out by the American people, and then now it's owned by someone who voted for Trump and believes that some of the things Trump did was good
Oh,
and
great.
takes a middle ground. So like I don't use Grinder. I haven't used it for probably like a decade, but mostly because of the way that the cisgendered white males are the only ones that seem to be the like the ones that use it. And there's just
Oh.
a lot of bigotry and racism on that
Mm,
platform. So it's not my vibe. It's not
mm-hmm.
my vibe. Um,
Yeah.
but on the note of Grinder, do you want one last story and it could be Grinder related? Because
Sure,
there's
why not?
one
Let's go for it.
right underneath that. I shouldn't have used Grinder. Okay, great. My first time having sex was in a loft bed dorm room. It was milk toast at best type experience. Milk toast? I don't understand what that means.
Oh, like plain, like kind of like plain Jane or not
Oh,
very exciting.
that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Okay. I had met him on Grinder, and he was half enthused, refused to use lube, and was near fully distracted by the episode of Bob's Burgers that was playing in the background. Oh my god. We
You
moved to
deserve
the
better. You
yeah,
deserve more than this.
yeah, more like a plain burger. Um,
Mhm.
it gets worse. We moved to the floor. He only enjoyed doggy style, and I have horrible knees, so that was very painful.
Mm.
But he was watching Netflix over my shoulder, and we both were having an okay time. Once he finished, he hung around long enough to get dressed. He then went for cigars and waffles 2 towns over and didn't talk to me for the next day. This is the same guy who smelled like stale corn chips because he, instead of taking a shower after masturbating, would rub the semen into his furry belly until it dried.
What? So
Keep in
he doesn't
mind,
use lube,
no,
and then he smells like corn chips, and then So are cigars and waffles, is that like an event type? Is that like boot blacking and chocolate? Like, is that like you go and you get waffles and you smoke cigars outside? Or is he just like he really wanted the cigars they sell 2 towns over?
I don't know. But there is one more line here that says, "We stopped meeting after one time as we were finishing. He says he was going to finger me, and as I quote, I'm about to Bob Ross your anal cavity."
I'm sorry, sir, what? You're gonna what? Like, dirty talk is hard, okay? Like, I get it. It's like you gotta put yourself out there. You feel pressure to be creative, and like maybe he was just like thinking in his head, like, I've got this great line. This is the best line I've ever thought of for dirty talk. This is gonna do it. And then he says it, and it's so awkward, and it just kills everything. But like, you gotta come on, like
I was surprised that there was more than one sexual encounter with this man.
listen, some people, especially when you're in college and you're in a dorm and stuff, and you just kind of take what you can get, because you're like, it's the best I can do. He smells like corn chips, but he doesn't use lube. But like, it can't be that bad. Like, how is there a second encounter? Is it just like you gotta test to see if it's gonna be as awful the second time, and then you end up with Bob Ross references?
I mean, I'm all for Bob Ross references.
Mm-hmm.
If I had someone that was like dirty talking Bob Ross and we were playing with like some paint and gunge play, oh, give it to me. Like that's fun.
Yeah. Little Ed
Um,
Messy with some paint, yeah.
yeah, the corn chips, the lack of lube, he would probably use the paint as lube, which I'm not for.
Mhm.
I just this man deserves no sex,
No sex for
no
you.
sex for you, and
And
yet,
yet he's
well,
probably gonna find someone who's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." He just moves around from town to town, not talking to people, having sex, eating his waffles, smoking his cigars. Everyone, you deserve better. Just listen to these stories and then just know that, like, you don't have to tolerate people that, don't treat you the way you deserve to be treated.
uh huh, uh huh. And then I think one last story. This might be just short and sweet.
Okay.
This story didn't clean out. 2 words. Torpedo poo. There you go.
That's it. That was like a haiku. That was like
Didn't clean out. Wait, didn't clean out. Oh, you need
so
575,
yeah,
right?
it's so
Damn.
close. You could have made it a haiku.
Didn't clean it out.
Uh-huh.
Straight folks don't tend to do that.
Mhm.
2 words. Torpedo. Oh shit. Torpedo poo poo. There you go.
There you go. Brilliant. You've done it. Excellent. Like I have I think people can be overzealous with the cleaning out and it can have some negative,
Oh yeah.
side effects to it, but like you gotta at least be aware, right? Like anal takes a little bit of planning and foresight and
Yeah.
sometimes you end up with horror stories. I'm actually surprised there's not as many there's a lot of butt plug stuff, but there's less like anal sex related horror stories than I was expecting there might be, like in terms of like we were doing something and then poop happened and really
Shit
embarrassing
always
because I feel like that's
happens.
a lot of people's like embarrassing moments with sex involve anal somehow.
Yes. Or
Mhm.
vaginal, and there's tons of stories here about surprise periods or things that they were not expecting to happen in the front or the back end.
Mhm.
There was even some from like the last time that we did it that it was like you're doing anal and you like brace yourself that and something falls, or you grab onto something and like curtains fall onto you guys as you're
Oh.
doing it like that.
Mhm.
But I mean, the moral of the story of most horror stories is you learn something, you hopefully
Mhm.
don't hurt yourself too bad, and
Mhm.
then you move on. But
Yeah.
like the whole reason that you and I tell our stories and do education is to literally help other people avoid that entirely, you
Mhm.
know? So thank you guys. Sorry, not to end it, but like thank you guys for
Yeah.
submitting stories because like some of them, ooh,
Yeah, thank you for learning from your mistakes and misadventures, and then also so kindly sharing those with us. So hopefully we can educate people about the proper use of Nair, or that you need to use lube when you do anal, or
What?
that, be careful when you take somebody home from Grinder because you never know what you're really going to get. And sometimes you might get more than you bargained for in terms of, a bunch of extra dudes showing up to your house,
Surprise orgy.
apparently. Hmm.
But also, biggest moral of the story, don't use Grinder. Please,
Yeah,
please don't
yeah,
use
just
Grinder.
don't.
There's so many other apps that are way better, much
Hmm.
more queer owned, and probably much more ethically run.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could go on about that. Like, have you heard of the right stuff? Do you know about that?
No.
Okay, so this goes into the horror story category a little bit because it's a dating app that now I'm wondering
Okay.
if the guy who owns Grindr might be involved with, which is why I bring it up. It's a dating app just for Republicans,
Oh,
and
I
there's
have
no
heard of this.
pronouns. It's only men or women. And if you want to, you can only choose if you want kids, if you are open to kids, if you have kids, or if you're not sure. There's no way
Ew.
to say no to children.
Ew.
Obviously goes without saying that there is no options for orientation. It's all just for straight people. And it's invite only, which is great because they're like afraid that people are gonna flood the app with like fake profiles, which of course, like,
Of
why
course.
wouldn't they? It
Yeah.
sounds like a terrible app. But some dating apps are better than others. And, you know, just because it's the popular, I never used Tinder before, wouldn't necessarily recommend. I actually know someone who got banned from Tinder for literally no reason. So, I gotta be careful about the apps you use, the people you bring home, and hopefully in the end you can eventually laugh at whatever happened.
Or at least look back at it and be like, never doing that again.
Like, hey, I was like, "Wait, who's ending this?" I feel like we might both say something. But, that's gonna be it for today. We did one of these over on your podcast. If people wanna hear even more stories, it'll be linked down below. And is there anything else that you want people to know about? Any big projects or just, like, your social media in general?
I mean, follow us on social media. Our content's all pretty reaction and commentary and comment based, because
Mhm,
I truly think that the best conversations come from having a back and forth, as we really didn't have today. Like, imagine if we were able to like ask some follow up questions and just the
mhm,
the parade of details that we'd get. And I just love unpacking that. So if you ever want to be part of our conversations, you can follow me at PupAmp, or What's the Safe Word. We're always making content just as frequently as Evie. But beyond that, just be safe. Make sure you're doing your damnedest to vet people and have a
mhm.
safe fucking Halloween.
Yes, yes, stay safe, have fun, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.
Bye.